Trump reveals the details of his new trade deal with China, and he got absolutely fleeced. Now, as you know, Donald Trump was in China yesterday to meet with President Xi and discuss a new trade deal. Well, today, Trump proudly announced that there is a new deal and that he got China to agree to purchase 25 million metric tons of soybeans in 2026, which would be fantastic if it wasn't for the fact that China purchased 27 million metric tons in 2024. Which means Donald Trump started this trade war, which absolutely devastated our soybean farmers, some of which will never recover from this. Also, China could purchase less soybeans than what they did previously. On top of that, China had export taxes removed, tariffs lowered by 10%, and they're going to be able to purchase top-of-the-line chips from NVIDIA now, something that Donald Trump blocked them by. He got absolutely fleeced. So the question is, what was the purpose of this whole trade war? Was it so you could cause a problem and solve it? I think it's safe to say that Donald Trump is the worst deal maker of all time.
So folks, you're not going to believe this. So the details of the USA-China agreement has come out. And this is something that Donald Trump, of course, is celebrating. It's a win-win, etc. You have to remember that Donald Trump is the person that created this trade war with China. Under Biden, there was not a trade war. So anyway, let's go through the details here. There's a few details I need to talk to you about. You're not going to believe this. So Trump has announced that China has agreed to buy 25 million metric tons of soybean, but in 2026. Okay, so the soybean farmers are being devastated now. So sometime in 2026, China have agreed to go ahead and purchase 25 million metric tons of soybean. The big problem with this is this. In 2024, China purchased over 27 million metric tons of soybean. So Donald Trump has just agreed to allow China to buy 2 million metric tons less than they were buying previously, before he took office. And remember, he started this trade war. And so many farmers in the United States are struggling. Their livelihoods have been devastated. And sometime in the future, soybean is going to be bought again by the Chinese. And Trump's allowed it to be less than it was. Doesn't sound much of a deal, does it? Now, so what does China get? China gets a lot. Listen to this. So export taxes on Chinese goods have been removed. Okay? Tariffs have been lowered. So it's more attractive to buy Chinese goods because the tax on them is less. And also they've been allowed to purchase chips from NVIDIA, something that Donald Trump said previously that he was dead against, and in fact even blocked it from happening. This guy is crap at making deals.
Donald Trump is having a disastrous landing from his awful trip to Asia, where he accomplished nothing other than further weakening the United States of America. I'll just give you this example. The Trump regime is trying to announce, look, we did this great deal with China. They've agreed to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans this season and 25 million tons per year for the next 3 years. China bought 27 metric tons of soybeans from U.S. farmers in 2024. So y'all sacrificed our semiconductor industry here and our intellectual property and classified secrets essentially to China so that they would agree to buy less soybeans per year based on your disastrous trade war against the world. That's literally the art of the worst deal imaginable. As Tim Miller puts it, I'm just trying to follow this trade negotiation. So Trump creates a shortage in bean sales with his stupid tariffs, so he flew to Asia to beg for a deal. Result, China gets advanced AI chips from the United States. We get 1 year of minerals and an agreement that they will take less of our soybeans than they were already doing in 2024. And it should also be noted that the access to their rare earths is on a year-to-year basis. So every year, the United States has to go to China to beg for rare earths. This is quite literally the worst deal imaginable. But Trump tries to cover it up by saying, hey, guess what, everybody? We've brought in trillions of dollars over the past 4 days. More trillions of dollars. It's pouring in. As our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, writes, and as you hear me say every day, can we have some proof of this at some point? Where are all these trillions that we just got this week? Here's what Donald Trump said on this disastrous landing. Play this clip.
So many successful meetings, and so many meetings made for our country with literally hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars have come into our country over the last 4 days, represented by this meeting. But trillions of dollars, where Toyota is going to build plants, $10 billion worth of plants, and, I could go over so many different companies coming in. They're pouring money into the United States. So beyond even this meeting, this was an unbelievable trip, and I hope you're glad you were part of it. It was big.
And here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent going on Fox Business, and I'll put business in quotes with Maria Bartiromo, and he's like, I'm going to break some good news. I'm just going to throw out a bunch of numbers and hope that the people watching this are stupid and don't realize that China was buying more soybeans under Biden than the deal that Trump just agreed to. So you had China cut us off from rare earths.
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. You're being gaslit, folks. Listen up about the China soybean deal. The soybean deal that Trump has brought back to the United States, to where China is going to buy 25 metric tons of soybeans for the next 3 years. Well, here's the problem with that. We were already doing that before this administration. Been doing it for decades, where China has been buying soybeans up until this year in this administration. China quit buying American soybeans to prove a point on trade. They weren't going to pay the tariffs on them. So now it looks like, the knight in shining armor on the white horse running in and saving the soybean farmer. Well, first of all, Iowa farmers have a lot more problems than just the soybeans. They have to do with tractor parts and fertilizer and all kinds of cost. But you've already, because of what happened with soybeans, bankrupt tons of farmers. It's too late for them. And now their SNAP benefits is going to be cut out for them, and their health insurance. So this problem that is now being solved wasn't a problem to begin with. You created a problem, now you've solved the problem. That doesn't work.
So the Trump-Xi meeting happened. Donald Trump, of course, said that an agreement has been reached. Folks, it's a real flop. It really is. We have to be realistic about this. So Trump has agreed to reduce tariffs on China from 57% to 47%. So if you're in the United States, you're still going to be paying a tax of 47% on Chinese products. China has promised to continue the work in reducing fentanyl, allegedly, and also they're going to be relaxing the limits of rare earth minerals to American industries. But it's all so vague. It's a flop. It's a dud. And you're going to see Donald Trump in a month or two come on to Truth Social and say China has cheated us again. It's a nothing. It's a nothing. And by comparison, Mark Carney is knocking the ball out of the park for Canada. I mean, he really is. I know he's got his critics, and there's some things about Mark Carney that I really don't agree on. But from a trade perspective, he is knocking that ball out of the park. And Trump is just rhetoric. It's nothing. It's a woozy. Nothing is real. Folks, the source for this is MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN. My name is Nick. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
They don't call him Taco Trump for nothing. Look at him, just bowing down to President Xi. What did America get out of this that they didn't have 9 months ago? We're just going back to what it was before, and we're just going to pay a little extra now. America's still just going to be paying extra on these tariffs. And he's going to convince his followers that China's paying for the tariffs. That's where we're at. We're just back to where we were, plus America gets to pay more for goods. That's where we're at. And you think that America's just going to start making all of those goods here? Just buy American. That's going to be the answer? Taco Trump, salute. You really just outdid yourself. You're even just 12 out of 10. A 12 out of 10. Taco Trump.
Thanks for clicking to watch today's video. And so Donald Trump just chickened out of his trade war. He made promises to the Americans. He told them how his own tariffs were gonna make America great again. And guess what? Just recently, after his farmers struggling for so long without markets, he made a negotiation with China, and he said that he's going to slash the tariffs. And that is not a win for the Americans, but it's a win for China, because they used to buy 27 million of metric tons of soybeans, and right now they say they'll be buying us from 2026 25 million of metric tons of soybeans. So what does that mean? Americans are so furious, and that's why we have compiled this video for you. We do not own the rights of this video. They belong to the original owners of the video. Let's dive in.
So Trump went to Asia to get a new trade deal with China, and he doesn't come back with a new trade deal. Instead, he comes back with a couple agreements that he has to extend every year. Wow.
Hello, everybody. Mr. President. I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China, and what can I say? We have it was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made. There wasn't too much left out there, and we've come to conclusion on many very important points, and we'll be handing that to you in a little while. We're having, because there was a lot of different things, many of them very important. We're in agreement on so many elements, large amounts, tremendous amounts of the soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately, starting immediately. If you notice, President Xi authorized yesterday for China to start, did you know that, right? China to start buying in very large quantities of soybeans and other things, which I appreciated. That was a very nice gesture. And many other things like that. On fentanyl, we agreed that he was going to work very hard to stop the flow. It's a very complex subject because it's used for lots of different reasons, including anesthetics and things. But he's going to work very hard on it, precursors, and I think you're going to see some real action taken. I've agreed, as you know, I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20% effective immediately. I believe he's going to work very hard to stop the death that's coming in. But again, it's complex because of what fentanyl is, what the precursors do. So I think you're going to see a big difference. We've had discussions on many of the elements that you're talking about all the time. You're asking me questions, and most of those things were I think agreed to for the most part. I think we agreed to almost everything in a very acceptable form. I wouldn't say everything was discussed, because there were things that probably, in retrospect, we could have discussed and we didn't, for some reason, didn't come up. But if you have any questions, let me know. Go ahead.
Now listen to this reporter ask him if he has a deal, and watch how he admits that he doesn't have a deal.
One of the major stumbling blocks that are left now to work through, and how soon do you think you could sign a trade deal with China?
Well, I think pretty soon. We have not too many major stumbling blocks. We have a deal. Now, every year we'll renegotiate the deal, but I think the deal will go on for a long time, long beyond the year. We'll negotiate at the end of the year, but all of the rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world. I mean, worldwide. This, I guess you could really say this was a worldwide situation, not just a U.S. situation. So we continue to produce the rare earths and buy the rare earths and everything else, when you see from other countries. But China is, that whole situation, that roadblock is gone now. There's no roadblock at all on rare earth. That will hopefully disappear from our vocabulary for a little while.
So is that a 1-year pause on the policy they announced?
It's a 1-year agreement, and we'll extend it after a year.
And what will
like we do. It's a 1-year deal that will, I think, be very routinely extended as time goes by.
And what will your new
totally clear, they're not going to impose the rare earth controls that they proposed. President Trump and President Xi came to an understanding on that.
What will your new tariff rate on China's goods be once you sign a deal?
Other than what the tariffs remain exactly the same.
55%.
It's about it was 57. Now it's 47.
And how long?
Because we reduced it by the fentanyl, because I believe they are really taking strong action. We've already seen the action on fentanyl, and they're taking very strong action. So we reduced to 10%.
So that November date is gone when it was going to go up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. So
That's all.
So your tariffs go from 57% to 47%, and now farmers can immediately begin to purchase soybean. It's almost like we're right back where we started, and that perhaps none of these tariffs should have been implemented from the very beginning. But we're not quite right where we started, because if you notice, did he mention anything about TikTok? Wow. This guy right here is somehow one of the master deal negotiators. I mean, he left a lot of things out when it comes to China. Oh, yeah. And what happened to those nuclear weapons that he was threatening China with right before the meeting? Trump looks very, very defeated. And the list goes on and on about the various things that he could have gotten a trade deal worked out with China about. But it's just interesting to me that there is still no trade deal. It has to be extended every single year, whatever that is. And yeah, wow, all of this hoopla for absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. This is who MAGA will be parading around and saying he's somehow some master negotiator. But when you really sit back and think of it, he's the guy that started the fire and then tried to put it out, but didn't really put it out, and is now trying to get credit for putting out a fire he started. It's a waste of taxpayers' time. It's a waste of taxpayers' money, and it doesn't solve the immediate fire that's currently burning. Well, what is that? Oh, yeah. He's coming back home to bring those same talents of negotiation to try to get the government reopened, right? Because this is his shutdown, right? And let's see if Donald Trump, when he gets back, can actually use those same skills to reopen the government. Wow. This guy right here, ladies and gentlemen, takes the cake in terms of being a total disgrace.
Soybean farmers, you are about to be treated like a fool by the Republican Party and Fox News and some of the mouthpieces. You're about to get flooded with all this information about how Trump just struck this massive deal for 25 million metric tons a year for 3 years with China of soybeans, right? Trump saved you. The Republican Party just saved you, right? Saved your farm. You were getting 27 million metric tons. You were selling 27 million metric tons last year under Biden. He made a deal for less. And that doesn't even take into account the 6 months from May to October where there was nothing. You were getting paid nothing. The American Soybean Association estimates that soybean farmers lost an estimated $10 billion in those 6 months. $10 billion. 6 months of worry and fear and how am I going to make payments and what is going on by soybean farmers. And now Trump and the Republican Party are going to swoop in and say, like, look, we just saved you. They're the motherfuckers who took it away in the first place with this tariff war. They're the ones who made your life shitty and made you live in fear. Now they're going to give it back to you and expect you to cheer them and be like, thank you so much. I can't believe you saved us. They're the fuckers who did it to you. Right? It's like a fucking robber coming up to you and stealing $27 and giving you 25 back and saying, are you going to thank me? Like, what the actual fuck? So watch this. Watch. It's going to be all over Fox. They're going to say, like, look at this historic deal. Incredible for farmers. I can't believe what he did for farmers. It's less than what you were getting. And you lost $10 billion in the process. Just think it through. They fucked you over. $10 billion. And now they're giving you less than what you were getting. I would not be happy.
Donald Trump is once again claiming victory in a quote-unquote new trade deal with China. But when you look closer, it seems like Beijing is getting everything it wanted and America is getting what it had before the trade war. The deal reportedly gives China access to advanced US AI chips in exchange for promises that China has broken countless times before. Trump boasts that China will buy more American soybeans, but the purchase levels only match the pre-trade war levels. Meanwhile, the U.S. risks losing control over technology that could strengthen China's military and industrial power. China has made these same empty promises before, especially about cracking down on fentanyl production, and yet the flow of precursor chemicals to Mexico and South America continues. Trump's willingness to trust those pledges show either a naivete or a willingness to trade American leverage for political headlines. And it's worth noting that Trump has announced these historic trade deals countless times before, and yet not one of them has actually been signed or officially documented. So after months of strangling the American economy with his tariffs, Trump still has nothing to show for it.
Well, Trump's patting himself on the back right now. He's got this trade deal he thinks he's hammered out with China, which he really hasn't. China has agreed to buy 187,000 metric tons of soybeans. Sounds like a lot of soybeans, doesn't it? It's not. Last year, they bought 27 million metric tons of soybeans. That's a lot of soybeans. 50% of the soybean imports in China came from the United States last year, and the year before, and the year before. This year, they're going to buy 187,000 metric tons, not 27 million metric tons. So while MAGA takes a victory lap and Trump takes a victory lap, thinking they did something great, and Xi said, he promised, and Xi Jinping promised he'll going to buy more soybeans next year. Now, if he really wants to mess with us, he can say that all he wants. But then next year, soybean farmers are going to plant their soybeans. She's going to pull the rug out from underneath them. And we're going to be right back in the same spot we're in right now. Instead of running over to China, let's start looking for a new market. China's already got contracts signed with Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. Why would he come back to us? He's paying less to those countries than he is to us for soybeans. What would ever drive him back to us? Our market's dried up for him, or he's dried up for our market, however you want to look at it.
Hey, what's up, America? Donald Trump makes a deal with China. So Donald Trump met with the Chinese president in Korea overnight, and they struck a deal. Now, they struck a deal for soybeans, lower tariffs, and rare earth material. So prices should be coming down from the 100% tariffs that were imposed on China. Apparently, they had a good meeting, and they ironed out a lot of issues. Taiwan was not discussed during this meeting whatsoever. So it looks like everything was superficial as far as markets and funding with trade are concerned. TikTok was only mentioned in passing, saying that the Chinese are willing to work with us on TikTok's sale, but didn't have any real details for it. So both parties walked away with some positive gains for trade, but not much as far as the geopolitical scale of things was really tackled. So as far as I can tell, China's still interested in reunifying with Taiwan. Some trade aspects still need to be ironed out, and TikTok is far from done as far as being an American company.
Trump has lost it this time round because they initially used to sell 27 million of metric tons to China, but they'll be selling 25 million as from of metric tons of soybeans as from 2026. So where will the 2 million metric tons of soybean go? And remember that the farmers had already harvested soybeans for the remaining months, so they have really lost it because the 2 million metric tons of soybeans will be, they won't be having anywhere to go. And remember that China is the most reliable market that they have. So guys, Trump is bragging, saying that the way America has made trillions, the way America has made a lot of money, and the way America is now going to be great because of this deal. And is even telling farmers that, I have returned already your market, and is bragging out there. But he has lost it this time round. And so many people, as you've heard in this video rather, they are saying that, this is a problem that you yourself created by putting the tariffs, and right now you are solving it. They're even telling them that you are the worst deal maker ever. We have never seen such a worst deal maker before. So guys, what do you think? Did really China outsmart Trump during his trade war, or Trump outsmarted them? Kindly drop your thoughts. We'll love to hear what you have to say, and don't forget to share, subscribe, and like our channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you on our next one.